Hi guys, Ryan Saranich here. Today we're in Krakow, Poland at the ICE Congress Center. And we're going to talk a bit about Legere synthetic reeds. There's obviously a lot of skeptics on the market when you're talking about synthetic reeds. The fact is that the science has come so far that a lot of synthetic reeds are just as good now as cane reeds. Legere Signature Series particularly are my favorites of all the synthetic reeds, and I've used them now for over 10 years. Obviously with the synthetic reed you're getting added durability. You have less likelihood of getting a crack or a chip in your reed, and even if you do, it's still quite playable. The tips of the reeds, even though they're thinner than a lot of reeds, are much less likely to warp as well. Still, you should be using a good reed case. So one of the kind of obvious added benefits of the Legere synthetic reeds is that they don't really have a warm-up or a break-in time. You don't have to wet them, you don't have to soak them, you don't have to do anything with them. You take one fresh out of the box and you slap it on and it will play, right? So, I brought my box of extras for this tour. These are reeds that have never been played, basically. You can see there's a lot of them: alto, tenor, baritone, clarinet, soprano. Here's some tenor reeds. Again, these have never been played before. We were taking a random one out of the bag, putting it on. I didn't wet it. You noticed I did not have to put it in my mouth and wet it to get it ready for this. And when I put this up to play, it should play full range, no issues. So as you see, take it out of the box, or in the bag in this case, slap it on a mouthpiece and play. This is why it's perfect for the doublers, or the people who don't really want to deal with the maintenance of cane reeds. For me, there's a lot of great reasons to have a Legere reed. I've been an artist for them for just over 10 years now, and I happened across these actually on accident. I was coming back from some gigs in California to Wilmington, North Carolina, where I was going to school at the time. And I came back home to play a 4-horn gig and found that all of my cane reeds had warped in the process of changing climates. Now we're talking about, like basically really dry desert to something, tropical, coastal. There's a beach there, obviously, right? So there's a lot of humidity. And I went to a music store to pick up some reeds, and they didn't have any cane reeds. The only thing that they had were Legeres, and at the time I had not tested Legere, and to be honest, I didn't have a great opinion of them. Pretty much an uninformed opinion, I should say. And when I picked up these reeds and tried them out, they worked really well for me. They responded very quickly, and I noticed that I didn't lose anything in my tone. So obviously you can see the benefits for me were huge here. One of the reasons these reeds sound so good is because they were developed by musicians who are also scientists, who were really into the idea of creating a synthetic that acted, behaved, sounded, responded exactly just like cane. There were even concept ideas in the design where they were modeling these reeds so that they were vibrating on the same axes that a cane reed would. So that these synthetic reeds were really almost identical in every way, shape, and form except for the material of a cane reed. I can't say enough good things about these reeds. I mean, like I said, I've been using Legere now for just over 10 years, especially this signature line. And I trust them because I know that I'm not losing anything in my sound in comparison to the cane reeds that I came from. Initially when these reeds came out, a lot of the jazz guys were adopting them first. Reason being was it had a little bit of a thinner tip on it, a lot like some of the jazz reeds that are marketed, Jazz Selects, the CZs, whatever. But in recent years, a lot of classical players have started picking these up too. It kind of helps that Legere makes these for, the full range of saxophones, clarinets, and they even make double reeds for oboe and bassoon players as well. But with this reed sounding and responding so much like a cane reed, it's perfect for players of all genres. Classical players, jazz players, people who are playing rock gigs, it really doesn't matter. You're going to get a synthetic reed that has the sound of a cane reed when you're buying a Legere synthetic. Although you're going to spend a little bit more money to get a Legere reed, you'll probably find that they last quite a bit longer than even a box from another cane brand. For me, I'm using 6 reeds across 3 or 4 months. This is many times what you're going to see out of a box of cane reeds. I think more often than not on a lot of the cane reeds that I was playing 10 or so years ago, I was seeing about 2 weeks out of a box with as much as I play in practice. So this is a really big step up. All right, so let's start looking at the pros and cons of Legere versus other cane reed competitors. First, you're going to find out that they're way more durable than cane reeds on the market. If you crack the tip, it's still going to play. If the tip warps, which it shouldn't, it probably will still play just fine and give you the tone that you're looking for. They just last a really long time and they're very easy to take care of. You don't have to worry about them so much on the bandstand. One thing that I've always loved about these is that the lifespan of a Legere synthetic reed is a lot longer than that of any cane reed on the market, and it's significantly more consistent throughout its life. Basically with these, you're going to have the same reed that plays the same way all the way through the life up until right about the end of its life when it just really rapidly dies off. But again, it's going to take you a lot longer of a time to get through this on one synthetic reed than it will on a box of cane reeds. These have practically no break-in time either, so when you put a reed on the horn, that reed should play the same way all the way throughout its life. Admittedly, in the very beginnings of Legere, I did find a very plasticky sound with the classic line and the studio cut line. But with the Signature Series, I find these to be very different reeds. These, to me, play and feel and sound like your favorite cane reed that you've had. One reason I was very quick to adopt these was that I didn't notice a major change in my sound in between the cane reeds that I came from and the Signature Series. Probably one of the greatest things that Legere ever did was start to offer their reeds in quarter strengths instead of half strengths. With this concept in mind, you can really dial in the strength of your reed to find what works for you best. Using a size 3 reed and finding that your sound is okay but maybe just a little bit thin, move up a quarter strength to 3 1/4 and you might get exactly what you're looking for in terms of sound and feel. My last major point here is that Legere actually has a return policy. Let's talk about this for a second. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how this should work when you're choosing a new Legere reed. The first thing that you want to do is go to Legere's website and look up the tables that they've provided that will help you kind of size out a new Legere reed in comparison to something similar that you've probably used in the past. Once you go through that table, you can find a reed size that works for you and you can order it, and hopefully that's going to be the size that works for you. But if you get a reed and find out that it might be a little bit too soft or too hard, on the back of every piece of Legere packaging there is an address and a note about the return policy. And I think that they limit how much you can return your reeds, but if you bought the wrong size reed for you, they'll be more than happy to help you find one that's more the right size for you. I'm pretty certain that you only have to pay shipping both ways to return the reed and get a new reed. But the policy is excellent. This is so much better than buying what is a bit of an expensive reed. I mean, in the US, they're about $30 a piece. And then finding out that it's the wrong reed and that you've spent $30 that you can't get back. Now you can at least find the size that works for you. Seriously, what other company actually offers a return policy? If you haven't tried Legere's synthetic reeds, I implore you to go out and find a Signature Series reed for your instrument and give it a shot for a little while. A/B it against what you're currently using now and see what the differences are. Let us know in the comments below. Want more content just like this? Be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for notifications. Also, check out the article for Legere reeds on saxophonecentral.com.